The room was still laughing when my marriage officially ended. "Oh, you didn't get one?" my wife's mother said, her voice sugared and sharp, eyes flicking to the empty space beneath the tree where my gift should have been. Wrapping paper lay everywhere, champagne flutes clinked, someone snorted. My wife didn't look at me. She never did when her mother performed. I smiled, slow, measured. "That's okay," I said. "I brought something for you." The laughter thinned, polite, curious. I reached into my coat. When I set the envelope on the table, flat and deliberate, the room leaned forward. When they read the label, the air died. Evidence. I met her mother long before I learned how she smiled when she thought she'd won. Back then, my wife held my hand like a promise. We were young, hungry, building. Her family welcomed me with warmth that felt rehearsed but convincing enough. Sunday dinners, inside jokes I wasn't meant to understand yet. I thought endurance earned trust. I married into that house believing love would soften the sharp edges. I was wrong. The first crack came quietly. A late night, a phone turned face down, a laugh she didn't share with me anymore. I told myself it was stress, work, life. That's what faithful men do. They rationalize until the truth forces itself into daylight. The second crack came with a name I didn't recognize lighting up her screen at midnight. I didn't confront her. I didn't demand. I watched. Patterns always confess before people do. She showered longer, traveled lighter, smiled at messages that made her forget I was in the room. Her mother started making jokes at my expense, little ones, casual, testing the perimeter. Her father stopped meeting my eyes. That's when I knew it wasn't just an affair, it was a family project. I found the proof on a Tuesday, a shared folder she forgot to lock, hotel receipts, a timeline that overlapped our anniversary, messages that spoke about me like a temporary inconvenience, and one message from her mother that settled everything. "Be patient, he'll sign, he always does." I didn't cry, I didn't shake. I closed the folder and began planning. Revenge isn't rage. Rage is sloppy. Revenge is restraint sharpened into precision. I met with an attorney the next morning, then a forensic accountant, then another attorney, hers eventually, when I bought out the last shares of the company her family quietly ran through my name for tax reasons. They'd trusted me with paperwork they never read. I froze joint accounts, redirected distributions, filed for divorce on grounds that mattered. Quietly, efficiently. I gathered everything, screenshots, emails, transfers, a recorded call where her mother coached her on lying under oath. I didn't threaten, I didn't warn, I waited. Christmas came like a stage already lit. They invited me because they assumed I was still the man who swallowed disrespect with wine and smiled through humiliation. They wrapped gifts with my money. They saved my seat at the table like a joke that hadn't landed yet. And then her mother smirked. "Oh, you didn't get one?" The envelope slid across the table with a soft sound, heavy, final. Inside were copies, affairs, financial manipulation, a notice of asset reallocation, a filed complaint, a pending audit request triggered by anonymous tips that weren't anonymous anymore. The first gasp came from her sister. My wife finally looked at me, her face drained of color as she flipped through pages she thought only existed on her phone. Her mother's smile collapsed into something feral, then brittle. "What is this?" she snapped. "Your gift," I said. "Receipts." Her father stood, sat back down. He knew what those documents meant. He'd taught me enough to understand when a man recognizes checkmate. "You can't do this," my wife whispered. I leaned in just enough. "I already did." Silence has weight when it knows the truth. It pressed down on the table, on the tree, on the laughter that had nowhere to go. I stood, buttoned my coat. "You taught me a lot," I said, looking at her mother. "Mostly what not to forgive." I left before anyone found their voice. That mattered to me. Endings should be clean. Now, months later, I think about that night without heat, without regret. Justice doesn't always look like screaming or broken glass. Sometimes it looks like paperwork and patience. Sometimes it looks like a smile held just long enough to let everyone else realize they misjudged the room. They thought I was weak because I was quiet. They confused kindness with compliance. I didn't take everything from them, just what they never thought I'd take back: my name, my future, and the last laugh they were so sure belonged to them.